Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $8.6 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Fam, today is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Karmelo Anthony, a young man accused of murder at a track meet in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He is out on bail. A lot of white conservatives are angry and upset. Now they are attacking the family because the father of the young man who died showed up at a news conference the Anthony family held today, and they are attacking the Anthony family for saying that he should not have been there. We'll talk to a Dallas activist who is working with the family on this very issue. It is very contentious and is very much white versus black issue here. Also, Donald Trump continue attack on Harvard University. Not only they want to now defund them and remove their exempt status, they were trying to actually force a federal audit to audit the opinions and the viewpoints of faculty, staff, and students. HBCUs, I'm warning you, you could be next. Also, the Supreme Court agrees to hear a challenge to the 14th Amendment. Trump says, oh, the 14th Amendment was only supposed to be about slavery. Black folks, don't be fooled. He don't give a damn about us. And still, why are black conservatives so quiet of these attacks on black people? Cleveland Pastor Darrell Scott tweeted about Trump calling him this morning and a great call they had. Well, I sent Pastor Scott a few tweets and I texted to him saying, why don't you bring these issues up in your call with Trump? I'm still waiting to hear back. Lots to break down. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, an altercation at a Texas track meet leaves a student dead and another student facing first-degree murder charges. This story has been blowing up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but has also gone national as a number of white conservatives are attacking the young black man who has been charged in this case. His name is Karmelo Anthony. They are demanding that he get everything thrown at him for what took place in the death of Austin Metcalf. So let me unpack what happened here. Guys, roll a video. So understand, so 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, this is him being released from jail, okay? He's been released from jail. A black judge lowered the bond. Well, that black judge has been getting death threats as a result of that. That's Judge Angela Tucker. She's been getting massive death threats. Now, again, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony says he was only protecting himself when Austin Metcalf, according to witness statements to police, tried to shove Anthony, who attended a rival high school, out of a pop-up tent when Anthony grabbed a knife from his backpack and stabbed Metcalf in the heart. Now, Anthony is now out on bond. Now, his parents held a news conference today, and the father of Metcalf showed up. Here's a tweet that racist Charlie Kirk sent out with the video from the news conference, okay? He sent this tweet out here, all right? And so you see him attacking the family and attacking activists because of what was stated. What does Kirk say? Insanity. Dominique Alexander, who represents Karmelo Anthony, just attacked Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff, for attending a press conference held by the Anthony family, calling his presence, quote, a disrespect to the dignity of his son, unquote. Kirk tweets, this is revolting. I responded to Kirk. I said, I'm curious if the Metcalf family held a news conference, and Karmelo Anthony's dad showed up at that news conference, would you be saying the same thing? Joining us right now is the activist in Dallas, Dominic Alexander. Dominic, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It's been some time. So, first of all, you have Charlie Kirk saying you represent the family. You're not a lawyer, correct?
Not at all.
So,
not at all.
So explain for the public your role in this case.
So the Next Generation Action Network, of course, is founded here in Dallas, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex since 2014. We are the advocacy arm. Our organization is an advocacy-led organization. We are not the attorneys. The attorney for this case is Mike Howard. We do the advocacy around making sure that people are aware of this situation and supporting and how to support this family and to ensure that this family's rights are not violated. And the things that are legal matters are handled by the lawyers.
What's crazy here is, so check this out. Here's a tweet right here. This person said, I did a Twitter search for Karmelo Anthony till up to 2 days ago after the incident. I could only find one post from a black account defending him, but there are countless posts from whites making it a race issue. Whites racialize everything, then cry when black people take sides. And then this is a scroll of tweets that this person actually pulled. And when this story first happened, they called Karmelo Anthony a thug. It was all sorts of names. They were saying that Austin Metcalf was this football star. He was this bright young man, talented, high grade point average, all of that. But Karmelo Anthony is not a thug. Karmelo Anthony is a high grade point average student as well. And so Anthony was being treated as a savage, and Metcalf was being treated as the golden, a perfect student, the golden child, if you will.
Yes. One of the things, Roland, that we need to point out in this situation is that most of the people raised their consciousness because of what Hunter Metcalf said in the local media, where he literally admitted over the weekend, days after, the same day, I believe it was the next day, where he stated that his brother was told by Karmelo to not touch him and literally admitted that he did it anyway. And so no one did that interview for Hunter Metcalf. He did it himself. And so this hate, this race, this bigotry wasn't introduced by us, right? It was introduced by them, right? And I'm going to say this, Roland. I don't know if you even remember this, because I was on the panel for the DPD police chief, and I believe I had this guy coming after me, and I used this quote, and I said it on your show, and it was quoted in other publications, even the New York Times. We will never ask the oppressor for permission to liberate our people. I don't know if you remember me.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember.
We will never ask that. And I will say that 10 years later. Don't get mad when you come after ours, and then we respond and support ours, right? And so I'm not here to apologize or basically give an excuse onto why we are supporting Karmelo Anthony. We are supporting him because if you can support your white baby, we can support our black kid, right? And so these laws are not just created for some, they're created for all, right? And so just like he should have his right to be able to claim self-defense, and what I want them to understand is Karmelo didn't come out days later and claim self-defense. He claimed self-defense the moments the police touched him, the moments the police even arrested him and detained him. He didn't come days later. He has always, and it's in the affidavit. But what these people have done is create it as a racial thing. We see that even with this judge. This judge is literally has been a Republican for over 3 decades. I personally don't agree with her political views or whatever it may be. She will probably never be at a Next Generation Action Network protest or anything we do, right? But what they show Black America is, regardless of what ballot box you check, you are still Black in America. And that's what they're showing to the people. And that's what people are rising up again. And I told somebody, this Trump administration is going to either unite us or divide us, right? And I'm just happy to see Black America and our allies standing in this rainbow coalition of justice to say, no, this is not right. And we ain't asking y'all for permission to help our baby.
This here is a post from the very conservative Rupert Murdoch-owned New York Post. They also own the Wall Street Journal. They also own Fox News. They also own, for folks who need to understand, they also own Fox Soul, and they also own Tubi, okay? So this is what the New York Post. Karmelo Anthony renting $900,000 home in gated community with family, bought new car after release on bond in Austin Metcalf murder case report. They also have been stating that Karmelo Anthony's family have been withdrawing money from a fundraising effort. It's called Give, Send, Go. In fact, the folks at Give, Send, Go, the folks at Give, Send, Go literally had to come out and explain why they were not removing the Anthony fundraiser from their platform. People were threatening that platform by saying you should not be allowing them to raise money. This right here, y'all, give me a second. This is actually the New York Post tweet right here. But the folks even at TMZ reported no money was actually withdrawn from this account.
Correct. TMZ actually called Give, Send, Go and actually asked them, have the family have access to this fund? And they literally responded and said no. And what was interesting about it is around noon yesterday, they called them and got that confirmation. Well, Give, Send, Go sent an email to the family at about 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, notifying that they could actually start the process of withdrawing the funds, which everybody know, even withdrawing, it takes a few days to even hit your account. When the family put their information in to be the beneficiary of the account, because the account was set up by someone else, that took days for verification, and especially when the money is for the benefit of a minor. It took days for verification, and these falsehoods was only created to discourage people from giving money to the platform. So they start these lies and all of these things that they could have easily verified by just picking up the phone, calling Give, Send, Go. They would answer the phone, they would respond to emails, and they let them know. And so TMZ called directly and they responded. And so they could have done that just like anybody else, but no, they just started spreading out reports, all of these things. They started talking about the family paying for private security. The security, if you see the video, the security is my security staff. The director of security for NGAN is in that video escorting Karmelo Anthony out, as well as me and another individual of the NGAN staff, right? We have our own security apparatus, and we have made it our business to ensure the safety of this family.
The Daily Caller, they put this tweet here out where they pulled from the news conference of Karmelo's mother. And again, I need people to understand the framing. Control room, y'all get the clip ready. The way this was framed, and I keep telling people, this is why Black-owned media matters. This is why social media matters, why you need to have credible Black voices. The framing of, and look, we've been trying to get the Anthony family on to talk about this as well, because the framing from day one has been Black thug kills perfect white football star. That was the framing from day one. Folk took that and they ran with the photo, not of Karmelo in a suit, not Karmelo in his athletic attire, not any of that. Everything was about, let's show thugs. Let's show, so this is a photo here. This is a photo here of Karmelo in suit, tie, okay, school photo. That's what was shown. But the framing, when we saw all of these stories, when we saw everything come out, and I remember from day one, it was, oh, no, we're going to show something different. And this is what it was right here. This is what it was, the mugshot. And so folks took that and they ran with it. Oh, thug, single parent home, daddy not around. At the news conference, this is what his mom says.
Like 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once the request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in the legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
That right there, quite emotional, and families describing all they're going through. And again, the framing or the narrative of this has been, oh, this family is broke, destitute, all that sort of stuff. Then it's, how dare they go to this home? How dare they? People who don't understand Dallas-Fort Worth, just describe for them the area where this school is located and the type of homes that exist out there. This is not a low-income area of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Not a single low-income area. Frisco, I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Y'all graduated high school in 2007. Literally, Roland, this area where they were was just late. It was just fields. This is an area that has been developed in the last decade or two. And I know you know that a lot about that, Roland, too. These were fields when I was a kid. Literally fields. The medium income level is there probably about $150,000. This is not a low income area. This is home of where the Cowboys headquarters is, a number of development. I believe Universal Studios is about to come there. This is not a cheap area. So if you're trying to lease a home or do anything, you're going to live probably in a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, or $800,000 home, right? If you are leasing in this property. And Roland, man, I just wanted people to see the heart of this family. Just to see that video of the mother saying that was even hard, because here in this office, as people watching that press conference and hearing that mother, it wasn't a dry eye in the building. And especially for people who know Kayla Hayes and know this quiet woman and soul, and that just came from the bottom of her heart, you know, and just the pain, the fear, I've been there to see the pain, the fear of these children and the things that they have had to experience with this situation. And I just want people to understand, you know, the hate hadn't been coming from here. We didn't create it, or we cannot pull a black card. The reality, that's our reality. That's what we live through every day. We can't pull our reality, right? And we ain't gonna apologize for being yet black in America. We ain't gonna apologize for that. And I think what you said, Roland, is important because that's what set the outrage of most people in America, black people particularly, about this case, to say, hold up, wait a minute now. Y'all going too hard. And then young people started to post that even knew Karmelo Anthony, right? And was saying, Karmelo is not this. Karmelo is a 3.5. His colleagues started standing up for him on social media, right? The kids, the overwhelming support. That's the reason why we told everybody we could not talk about the nuances of the case, because it's so involved. Every last witness to this situation is a minor. We cannot release we can't release the information around it because there were no adults in that proximity of that area, right? All of the witnesses to this are minors. And that's one of the things we wanted to give clarity to today, to make sure people understood the facts, because there's so many different moving parts. But as soon as I release one of those kids' name or even an inkling around it, I become legal liability civilly and criminally.
Just for folks who are watching, just so they can understand, again, how this is being played out. I'm trying to connect here. If you go to Twitter, and I call it Twitter, you go to Twitter and you type in
I do too.
Karmelo Anthony mug, Karmelo mug. We're having a connection problem. What you will see is mostly white conservative accounts, angry, mad, and upset. There we go. Look at this. Karmelo Anthony's family has no shame, allegedly selling Justice for Karmelo t-shirts for $25 to profit off his killing of Austin Metcalf while flaunting a $150,000 Cadillac Escalade and a $3,000 a month gated community rental. Does this send the wrong message? And then you see disgusting, the family of alleged murderer Karmelo Anthony. Then, of course, it's no shock you got black conservative grifter Brandon Tatum. What does he post? When a community celebrates the accused instead of mourning the victim, it's a sign of serious cultural rot. This merch launch for Karmelo Anthony is shameful and deeply concerning for what lies ahead for the black community. Here's why. And then, of course, he goes on, and we all know Brandon Tatum, it will be as anti-black as you can get because he's grifting off of MAGA. And here's somebody respond to him right here saying, if it is self-defense, stand your ground applies in Texas, and it is you who is wrong. So what Brandon Tatum is saying is, oh, he's saying celebrating the accused. So what Brandon Tatum, Dominique, and all these other white conservatives, what they are saying is that if you are accused of a crime, you don't get the same benefit as George Zimmerman. You don't get the same benefit as Kyle Rittenhouse, who they celebrated and raised money for. They're like, oh no, Karmelo Anthony is guilty until proven innocent, so therefore he's the murderer, so he shouldn't get due process. The family should not, people shouldn't be giving money to a defense fund. And again, their framing is that this black thug killed a perfect football star who's white. That's the framing of this, and that's how this thing is played out in media and social media.
Correct. It is. And yet Twitter is yet, because of the oligarch that owns it now, is yet a nesting breed for yet extremists to yet just go in and command the algorithms and just put a whole bunch of different things. That's the reason why our organization don't even check that stuff, don't even do anything on that yet platform, because of the simple fact that we know that that is a nesting ground for conservative, right-wing extremists and hateful people to use that platform to put out disinformation. And they've been doing this they've been doing this ever since this platform was purchased by Elon Musk. But at the end of the day, I think that people are really understanding exactly what's going on. And that's the reason why we felt like it was important for us to have this press conference today to say, listen, what we aim to do is literally allow you to attack, discredit, destroy our black baby. These platforms have been used to raise $2 million for Kyle Rittenhouse and a whole lot of people before Karmelo Anthony's fundraiser was on there, right? And if he can raise $2 million, why can't our baby raise $500,000 for his legal defense, right? And so the reality is people are seeing this double standard, and it's clear. They don't feel like these laws that were created, that many of us was there in the Texas legislature saying, hey, you don't need to allow permitless carry. We don't need stand your ground laws. We don't need them. But you kept them on the book. And yet, since you kept them on the book, it ain't just for you. It's for all of us. And that's just what it is. That's final. I don't want it. You kept them on the book when we fought to make sure that George Zimmerman was held accountable for the death of Trayvon Martin. You kept them on the book. We testified in the Texas legislature, in the Florida legislature, in many legislatures that I know personally. I have traveled to speak against stand your ground laws and all these different types of things. But since you kept them on the book, I don't care about what you're trying to say now. These laws are for everyone.
All right, Dominic Alexander, we surely appreciate you joining us on today's show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, going to go to a break. We come back. We're going to show you more of that news conference. And then we're going to go to my panel right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, I'm sure you've heard that saying that the only thing guaranteed is death and taxes. The truth is that the wealthy get wealthier, by understanding tax strategy. And that's exactly the conversation that we're going to have on the next Get Wealthy, where you're going to learn wealth hacks that help you turn your wages into wealth.
Taxes is one of the largest expenses you ever have. You really got to know how to manage that thing and get that under control so that you can build wealth.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
This is Tamala Mann.
And this is David Mann. And you're watching Roland Martin
Unfiltered.
All right, folks, I want to play some of the news conference. This is after Karmelo Anthony's mother spoke and Dominique Alexander was speaking. And again, I mean, this case has been crazy, how it has blown up on social media and in conservative media. So watch this.
Sarah, she's even came after me. She's even said all of those things. And now that the public knows exactly what is going on, I asked, because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, he should be afforded the same rights that Kyle Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Kyle Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that. And he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody said anything. So since they tried to come for us, I call for the community's overwhelming support for this fund. The disinformation that was put out was literally deliberate to prevent you from helping this family. And I want you to give overwhelming support to show them the community united can never be divided. And I'm going to say this again, and this is for everybody. Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. It's what we have to teach our children. We don't want to, but we have to. We don't like to, but if we want to sleep at night, we got to. I ain't pulling no race card. I live it. I'm reminded all the time that I'm a black man in America. And what y'all just showed to Judge Tucker is just reminded that hate and bigotry and racial reconciliation in this country, we have respected the process.
I believe that Austin Metcalf is about to have his funeral. And I wouldn't dare, even with the information I know, and plenty of people can share that and all that, but we have prevented from speaking about that in these type of public forums. It will come out. They have a more than well-capable attorney, and this family will go through a process of being able to get prepared for this trial. So I just say this real quick. This is our final time speaking to public and holding a press conference.
Folks, so that was that news conference again. Austin Metcalf's father showed up there. Look at my panel. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. He joins us. Dr. Nola Haynes, Georgetown University. Glad to have you as well out of D.C. This is the thing right here, Greg. I'm going to start with you. And again, when this story broke, and when I was sitting here following it, and it was absolutely white, black, thug. Thug kills white football star. That was the framing. And so you saw all of this in conservative media. They were all Austin Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, thug, thug, thug. And then all of a sudden we begin to hear Anthony's side on what happened. Well, why was Anthony there? Why was he under the tent? Then we find out that it wasn't like this was only your school could be here. All these different accounts, but Anthony was being savaged everywhere in conservative media and in social media.
Well, I mean, Roland, the obvious play is to blitz with disinformation. Near the end there, when we heard the characterization of the mood of the country in terms of Donald Trump as, basically a permanent dealing of the race card, as I was listening, I was thinking how the prosecutor will play this. Because all of this is, to call it tainting the jury pool is an understatement. You're basically talking about a proxy race war. And as Brother Alexander said, everybody involved in terms of witnesses, at least it looks at this point, is a minor. So basically what you got is a global game of rock'em sock'em robots. Every witness is a proxy for something else. This is a race war. It's a cold race war at this point. But as Malcolm X said, as long as you have the ingredients for an explosion, you have the potential for explosion on your hand. The clown in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, all of the racists that are stoking the fires everywhere in the United States of America, at any point, any single incident could be the wick that sets off a national explosion. If this continues finally in the vein that you've been lining out and characterizing by kind of surveying social media and giving us a sense of this kind of visceral proxy race war, if this continues along this line, can we imagine what a trial looks like? What does jury selection look like? What does the voir dire process look like when the prosecutor and the defense attorneys are asking potential jurors questions? What does the reporting look like as the media carries this? This could become a proxy for the era we're in. And if that happens, man, you're absolutely right. Black media is going to be more necessary than ever because there's going to be a blizzard of racist interpretation of this, including probably CNN and MSNBC and everywhere else.
This is video, and again, just understand social media, how they've been playing. Again, and one of the people who's really been pushing this is Will Cain of Fox News. Okay, he's been pushing this as well. So here's social media posts. So Will Cain grabs a clip from Charlie Kirk, who he knows is a white supremacist. And so just so y'all, I just need to show y'all juxtaposition of how conservative media works. So again, I showed you the Kirk tweet. Come on, go to my iPad, come on. This is the Kirk tweet saying insanity, blah, blah, blah. This is revolting, criticizing Metcalf. So Will Kane grabs his video, and Will Kane posts despicable Dominique, and this is 1 hour ago, despicable Dominique Alexander, representing the family of Karmelo Anthony, calls Austin Metcalf. He literally takes the exact same language of Charlie Kirk's tweet. He then says, reveals his character. He had police remove Metcalf. Appalling. This is the video that right-wing folks are circulating. Listen. Give me 1 second.
And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words. Okay? What he political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism. We have conservative operatives that have been posting nonstop about this case.
Oh, honey girl. So just understand what is going on here. And this has been, Nola, constant. And the framing of it, guilty, guilty, guilty. Here's the deal. He's been charged. He hasn't been indicted. This has not gone to a grand jury. They have not factored in the evidence. You've heard Karmelo sit there and say there are other witnesses there to describe. I'm sitting here, I saw one particular to what Dominique said. Somebody posted this tweet, don't pull it up please. Somebody said, Austin Metcalf should have lost his life, but his own brother went on TV and said he started the altercation both verbally and physically. Guess what? That video, if he did that, that video is going to be introduced to a grand jury. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So many thoughts are going through my mind right now. The first thing that I want to say is the Karmelo's mother's words are just like stinging right now. The way that her tone changed when she talked about her 13-year-old daughter being afraid to sleep in her own bed. I could not help but to recall these moments, that I heard about growing up. You don't think that in 2025, these are the sorts of stories that we're hearing in real time, but here we are. This is our reality. This is that fictitious 1930s, 1940s, 1950s that they wanted, where they can publicly harangue and hang a Black person because a white life was taken. And I am so sorry that both of these young boys will be, they have been catapulted into history in a way that neither one of them deserve. So that's one part of it. I don't think either one of these boys, should have to be the byproduct of this kind of constant racism, this kind of constant anti-Blackness. Secondly, what I want to say is, Greg, you made great points, and especially about poisoning the jury. We are talking about Texas. We are talking about a red state. We are talking about a part of the world where, Black people are meant to be seen and not heard. And then how dare you take a white life? I am happy that they are constantly recalling Kyle Rittenhouse. I am still incredibly offended by how, many in the MAGA movement, how they embrace that young man for taking young lives, for taking lives just because. When I think about Stand Your Ground with Trayvon Martin, when I think about the countless Black lives that have been lost, right? And And then here we have a young white life that is lost. This is going to get uglier for the family, unfortunately. And we also need to figure out a way to not constantly be responding to this. We need to have a strategy of anticipating this kind of vitriol and this kind of racism and stopping it in its tracks. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know if it's messaging. I don't know if it's constantly reminding the public of the facts and the details, and the way that they wanted to make this young man seem like he was from a single mother home and it's broken, and they're doing the N-word stuff, right? Like he buying stuff, he doing big things with the money.
There's nothing. No, here's the deal. You cannot message this. You can't. The reality is, you cannot anticipate, well, you can, but you cannot necessarily anticipate how people are going to respond to a particular story. What we do have to understand, there are things that we have to factor in. The reality is, it is still white and black in America. As you were talking, as Greg was talking, I was thinking about a story that took place 12 years ago in another high-income area in Dallas-Fort Worth. And that case involved the son of Major League Baseball player, give me 1 second, jumped, Torrey Hunter. Same thing. I remember the story like it was yesterday. And here's the story right here. Go to my iPad. A grand jury has declined to indict the teenage son of Detroit Tigers outfielder Torrey Hunter in a sexual assault case. Darius McClinton Hunter was arrested in May with 4 others in Prosper, north of Dallas, and accused of sexual assault. A Collin County grand jury indicated Wednesday there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute him. There was a party that took place, and you see it right here. It alleged that McClinton Hunter, co-defendant Garrett White, and 3 boys listed as juveniles were involved in a forced sexual encounter with several girls. Well, what happened at this here? This was a party, white girls, black boy. Story blew up, went crazy. Guess what the reaction was? Send that white boy to jail. It was Emmett Till all over again. Didn't indict. Well, what happened a couple of months later? Guess what? That son filed a lawsuit in the sexual assault case. Right here. Okay? His son was a star athlete. He had committed to play football and baseball for Notre Dame. He filed a $10 million lawsuit against the parents of several of the teenage girls from the town of Prosper. Now, I don't know what the result of that lawsuit is, but I remember when that story dropped. And guess what? High net worth area, Prosper, Texas. Deion Sanders used to have a massive mansion in Prosper, Texas. It's a high net worth area. That story was black and white. So I just don't think, you can sort of predict what will happen and sort of have a strike squad ready to jump. But this is the reality still in America, Greg, white and black, especially when you're talking about high income areas.
No question. And, it's really tragic. We're in the graduation season, and this boy has been expelled, according to the reports that I read, by the Frisco Independent School District under some policy they call Title V. But they do say that he can still be graduated early from some JJAEP program. So he will probably be able to be graduated, if I'm reading the policy correctly, even though he is banned from school property. Looks like he had completed all the requirements, so now it's just a matter of him being graduated. But imagine that, as you say, Dr. Haynes, as you say, Nola, there are 2 young men whose lives are irrevocably changed. One, of course, is dead, and the other faces the fight of his young life. It is a tragedy, and at the same time, because we live in an ongoing criminal enterprise called the United States of America, and I call it an ongoing criminal enterprise for the very specific reason that it was born in settler colonial violence white supremacist, white nativist, white nationalist violence. And despite our best efforts to root that out, and certainly renegotiate the terms of the place, that persistent white nativism is either going to be, as we heard the comment a moment ago in the clip you played, either that's going to be the death of this country, or overcoming it will be the salvation of this country. But one thing is for sure, until that thing that is at the heart of this country is faced and addressed, then it's going to continue to return. If this were 3 years ago, it would be no less tragic, but it might be less explosive. But the simple fact of the matter is that, as you say, Nola, it's in Texas. The governor of Texas, the attorney general of Texas, the Texas legislature, as racist as they have been over the arc of the last generation, is now feeling its oats in a way that if this were this time a year ago even, it would not be the same. This will be weaponized in a way that probably we haven't seen in maybe a couple of generations, simply because these folks are now fighting for their ideological lives. And so what does a grand jury look like? As we say, what does jury selection look like if it gets to a jury? And what does it look like if his defense team, I'm talking about Karmelo Anthony's defense team, comes up with a brilliant strategy, and the facts lay out to the point that the grand jury, if it is indeed brought to a grand jury, chooses not to indict? Do they have to leave Texas? Do other people get involved in terms of violence? In other words, if we go back to the 1850s, even at the lead up to the Civil War, the little incidents continue to build until these things spill over into something that might just be inevitable. We might just end up having to have a fight in this country. And if we look back in 5 years or 10 years or 6 months and say this was another step in that direction, I don't think any of us would be surprised.
Well, I just really need people to understand that what you see playing out is America. White, black, income, all that sort of stuff. And again, how America sees it. White America these folks immediately went to black thug, kills, clean cut, all-American, football star, white student. That's literally how this was framed. And then, and early on, a lot of black people were not talking about this case. I need people watching to understand. The New York Post, Fox News, they were trumpeting this story consistently. And then you begin to see black people go, hey, hold up, what the hell is going on here? Then you begin to see the response. And then and again, I don't know if this is from the family. The free Karmelo, and then what was the immediate reaction? Condemnation. How dare they raise money for this killer? Y'all, this is nothing but American history playing out. So you can call this Emmett Till, you can call this Statesboro Boys, you can call this any number of cases. White boy killed by a black boy? Oh no. Black boy got to go to jail, got to get the death penalty. But that's also why there's a legal system. And folks are mad because of Dominic Alexander, and they're bringing up his past. They're pulling up what he did in the past. And you know what folks are doing? They pull up the past of Austin Metcalf's daddy. All this stuff is going on before our very eyes.
Man.
At the end of the day, it's classic America. It's black and it's white. It's race. Gotta go to a break. Folks, when we come back, we'll continue. The attack on Harvard by Donald Trump. I'm telling you right now, HBCUs, beware. You could be next. I will explain. Support the work that we do right here on our show. So join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. You support this show, all the other shows on the Black Star Network. You support our calls, our travel, our crew. You support, of course, us covering around stores around this country. Cash App. You want to give via Cash App, use a Stripe QR code. It's right here. And you can use this for credit card as well. If you're sending a check, do me a favor, make it out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. This is for the bank, not Roro, not Uncle Roro, not Roland Martin, not Black Star Network, not Unfiltered, because we just need to be able to have it clean when we're depositing our checks. And so do so to make it out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Checks and money orders, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're going to examine how foreign policy impacts domestic policy and how domestic policy impacts foreign policy. We are all intertwined, and we're going to have Hannah Reid help us break down that topic.
We should not want our country to be the big bad wolf of the globe, because that puts us in a really vulnerable position safety-wise as well.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network, we are talking about all things, you got it, stress related. Yes, the big S, whether it's spiritual, physical, emotional, or sometimes it could be just in your head. Stress has a way of manifesting itself in our lives in such a way that it disrupts who we are and who we're in the process of becoming.
Stress is just as bad as a lot of the physical ailments that we think of.
That's all next on A Balanced Life on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett.
Yo, it's your man Deion Cole from Blackish, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
All right, folks, we have been covering this story of these crazy MAGA demented thugs and how they have been attacking, if you will, they've been attacking Ivy League institutions. And so under the guise of, just so you know, I'm actually looking, I'm about to pull something up, so that's why I'm talking to you, I'm looking down. So under the guise of anti-Semitism, they have been threatening to withhold funds and resources to these Ivy League institutions. Columbia, they went after them, and Columbia actually buckled and agreed to a list of demands from the Trump administration. They have been doing the same to other institutions. One of the institutions that's in their crosshairs is Harvard University. Now, what they've been doing with Harvard is quite interesting. They have been attacking Harvard, declaring that, well, they are, Harvard is too violent. Harvard is not protecting, they're not protecting the Jewish students at Harvard. And so the Trump administration is withholding, they're withholding some $2.2 billion Let me say it again. $2.2 billion from Harvard as a result. Now, check this out. This is a Wall Street Journal article that dropped today. Go to my iPad. Trump threatens Harvard's ability to enroll international students. Okay, I need you to understand something. So one, they threaten you need to make changes. No, stay on the iPad. Two, they said, Harvard, we're going to take your tax exempt status. Harvard has a $53 billion endowment. Conservatives are saying tax the endowment. Now, here's this. Now, here's what it says. Harvard enrolls 10,000 international students. And like many U.S. universities, it relies on their tuition payments, often full freight. But here is the thing, the previous paragraph that I want to focus on in this conversation. The threat arrived Wednesday in the form of a letter from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after Harvard on Monday refused to comply with demands made by the administration, and here's the key, including that the university, quote, under federal oversight, audit, in quotes, audit the viewpoints of faculty, student, and staff. Harvard President Alan Garber called the demands an illegal attack on the school's independence. Now let me unpack. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is not about protecting Jewish students. The right has always believed that Harvard is the bastion of liberal ideology, and that if we could take down the premier, this is their thinking, the premier liberal institution that graduates these individuals who then go on to assume major positions of power in America, if we could either take them down and then force them to hire or force them to recruit a ton of conservatives, then we've won. Now let me roll it back. Remember at my alma mater, Texas A&M University, when they wanted to hire Kathleen McElroy to run the journalism department, the reconstituted journalism department, two members of the board of trustees were texting each other, and they said, I thought we were bringing the journalism department back in order to train conservatives to be in media. I need y'all to pay attention. They've been demanding, and matter of fact, I'm gonna find it in a second, Warner Discovery, which owns CNN, a story was done and the question was asked, hey, what can we do to curry favor with the Trump administration? This was, I think this was also a a Wall Street Journal story. In that story, let me see, here it is. Go to my iPad. It said, and now as he and John Malone, he is David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Discovery, as he and John Malone look to trade their way out of the tight spot of the business, they may need Donald Trump. WBD, that's Warner Brothers Discovery, confirmed that a company representative recently reached out to the Trump orbit seeking advice about how the company might advantageously interact with the White House and improve its Trump age odor. The reported message was to look at the example of Amazon and Jeff Bezos, paying Melania Trump $40 million to participate in a documentary about herself. Don Jr. might like a hunting and fishing show on the Discovery Channel, they were told. And that CNN could have more pro-Trump voices, suggestion provided. What am I laying out? Everybody knows that Donald Trump is transactional. That in order to get what you want, well, if you could cut a deal with Trump, you can get what you want. You think I'm lying? How about this here? Donald Trump suing Paramount because of an interview Vice President Kamala Harris did. Paramount, the parent company of CBS, 60 Minutes, they are trying to be sold. They need the Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission to sign off on it. So what they are doing is they are considering settling the lawsuit, even though they know it's BS. They're considering settling the lawsuit in order to curry favor. What does this story say? 4 law firms who Mr. Trump leveled executive orders against have fought them in court, all quickly receiving rulings from federal judges who temporarily halted them. But now that 9 firms have agreed to deals and committed to nearly $1 billion worth of pro bono legal work, and keep in mind, stay on my iPad, those deals are for things that Trump wants them to do. Go back to the story. Some Trump advisors have started having discussions about a range of options for what the firm's lawyers can be deployed to work on, according to 2 people briefed on the matter. That work could include sending the lawyers to help Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency or deploying them to aid the Justice Department, they said. Trump administration may seek to have a federal judge enforce any deal it reaches with Columbia University in an arrangement that could ensure that the White House has a hand in the school's dealings for years to come, according to 4 people with knowledge of the matter. So why am I laying this out? Today, there was a discussion in the Oval Office regarding the Congo. Now, the Congo is engaged in a war. They need military resources. Trump said, okay, you want our military resources? You've got to give up minerals. Remember what he wanted from Zelensky in Ukraine. They wanted Ukraine to give up $500 billion in minerals for continued aid. Here's Trump talking about the Congo in the Oval Office.
All over the world, the Congo and Africa. Many, many people come from the Congo. I don't know what that is, but they came from the Congo. And all over the world, they came in, opened their...
Okay. So here he is discussing this. Who do they deploy? Remember Eric Prince, the mercenary? Exclusive. Trump supporter Prince reaches deal with Congo to help secure mineral wealth. He funded Blackwater. Eric Prince has agreed to help Democratic Republic of Congo secure and tax its vast mineral wealth, and he will help them protect them. Y'all, where do HBCUs come in? If the Trump administration can attack Harvard and try to extract demands and force them to be under a federal audit of the viewpoints of student, faculty, and staff, HBCUs do not stand a chance. We warned you. We warned you that HBCUs, especially public HBCUs, were vulnerable in red states. Where are most of our HBCUs? North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas. They're in other places, but the vast majority of HBCUs are located in the South and the Southeast, all red states. What then happens if Trump and MAGA say, I'm sick of these voter registration drives at these Negro schools. I'm sick of these protests being organized at these Negro schools. We then will put pressure on the administration to shut it down. Do you think that's going to have an impact in 2026 when Senator Thom Tillis is up for re-election in North Carolina? Do you think it's going to have an impact in Georgia, where Senator Jon Ossoff is likely to face Georgia Governor Brian Kemp? Nola, I'm very clear. If they can bring Columbia to its knees, and then they can use the power of the federal government to try to bring Harvard and MIT to its knees, there is not a single HBCU that can withstand that type of assault. The threat to HBCU advocacy for Black people is real. You're on mute.
I'm not on mute.
There you go.
I wasn't on mute. So 1,000%, this is why I'm so happy that Harvard and a lot of the other Big Ten schools decided to do what they did. They understand what's at stake. If they do what Columbia did, essentially there is no more America. I mean, what we're witnessing right now is a thug in a White House. We are witnessing extortion in real time. We are witnessing the weaponization of all of these different agencies to be used for Donald Trump's benefit. I mean, and for his family's benefit in broad daylight. In broad daylight. And this is where you have to stand up against the bully. And this is what Harvard got right this time. This is why I have on my Harvard hat today as an alum, right? This is what they got right this time. This is one of the moments, this will be one of the seminal moments when we look back on this time that Harvard stood up on the right side of democracy, and so did a lot of other schools. This is going to be the legal case. This will be the situation to watch for quite some time. And I am just happy that Harvard took this stance and other schools followed, because this really is a fight. This is a fight. There literally is a wannabe mobster in office and doing this stuff in broad daylight.
Hey, Greg, I need people to understand something. I don't give a damn about Harvard. I believe that the fundamental problem in this country is that it is an elitist country, that this country believes that if you did not go to an Ivy League school, you're less than. There's a belief that if you did not attend Yale Law, Harvard Law, Cornell Law, Columbia Law, then you can't be a Supreme Court justice. In fact, I was told, and I'm going to reach out to some people who know Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. I was told that the only Supreme Court justice who hires non-Ivy League clerks is Clarence Thomas.
It's true.
That means that even Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson would not consider a Howard law student or a black law student who's high ranked from University of Texas or Southern Methodist University or some other law school in the country. So what that says, and so I'm saying that, Greg, because power protects power. And so if you never create space for people who are not from an Ivy League institution, what you're saying is, if you go to any other law school, you're not as brilliant as anybody at one of those law schools, and I believe that to be an absolute fallacy. But that's a whole separate story. The concern that I have here is that there is not a single... You take the Spelman Endowment, the Howard Endowment, and the Hampton Endowment, and you combine those three, and they don't even come close to the lowest Ivy League indictment. If the Trump MAGA administration sets its sights and wants to sink its teeth into HBCUs, our institutions stand no chance against that type of assault. We had better wake up.
Those institutions, Roland, were a fraction of the endowments of those white schools in the 1930s and 40s when they produced the undergraduates like Thurgood Marshall at Lincoln University, like Oliver Hill and Spotswood Robinson at Howard University School of Law that killed Jim Crow. Those HBCUs had a fraction of those endowments in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s when they produced the student movements and the brilliant black intellectuals on those faculties that literally rewrote the cultural DNA of this country. Those HBCUs have nothing in the bank compared to Harvard, to Yale, to the flagship state schools today. But what they do have is not economic, but it's moral, cultural, and it is intellectual. You're right about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Shortly after Sonia Sotomayor was sworn in, she came to speak at Howard Law, and we were there, the faculty, the students, and she said that she didn't like the Ivy League bent, and yet we still see what clerks she has selected. I'll tell you somebody else who never hired a clerk from an HBCU or Howard University, and specifically, that would be a man named Thurgood Marshall. Let me be very clear. The whole time Thurgood Marshall was on the Supreme Court of the United States, he did not hire one clerk from the institution that he got his own law degree under Charles Hamilton Houston, who himself graduated from Harvard Law. So let me be very clear about how the internal sickness of blackness. I saw Justice Brown Jackson a couple of weeks ago at the installment of the new dean at Howard Law School, of course, our frat brother, Roger Fairfax, whose brother is our frat brother as well, of course, the good brother Justin Fairfax, who was there. I expect that may soon change at Howard University, if for no other reason than Ketanji Brown Jackson and Roger Fairfax went to law school together, as did her roommate at the time, Roger Fairfax's wife, Professor Lisa Fairfax, who was on the faculty of the University of Pennsylvania. But it speaks to that little word that you raised, Roland, which is a nasty little word, that 5-letter word, E-L-I-T-E, elite. Unfortunately, we live in not a meritocracy, but a kleptocracy with a very strong elite bent. And I share, Nola, your enthusiasm, and I think all of our enthusiasm, because Harvard finally did what you have to do with punk-ass bullies, which is punch them dead in their face. And very quickly after that, or right around the same time, the Yale faculty said, and mind you now, let's be very clear about what we're witnessing now. This isn't the administration. This isn't the president. This isn't the trustees. This is the faculties. See, because Lawrence Tribe, Professor Emeritus over at Harvard Law School, the whole they're looking like, hey, man, you messing with our reputation now. Do you understand? Not only in this funky little country called United States of America, but globally. You see, it means something to be associated with a brand that stands for a question of intellectual independence and freedom of expression. There is, after all, until they throw it completely out the window, a First Amendment to the United States Constitution. So Larry Tribe and them was like, nah, y'all gonna change. And then Yale's faculty has now said to Yale what they're gonna do. And if y'all follow the Ivy League close, you know as Harvard goes, Yale goes. And as Harvard and Yale goes, it keeps tumbling down. Columbia played itself, friends. So by the time it gets to Brown and Dartmouth, the Ivy League will come along. But Nola, you made a very important point when you said those Big Ten schools, because what happened with the Faculty Senate at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln? What happened at Rutgers? What happened at Indiana University Bloomington? What has happened now is the Big Ten Alliance, which is 18 schools, including 2 public institutions and flagship schools, because now they're talking at Michigan State in Lansing and Ohio State, where I went to law school, in Columbus. And they're saying, oh, no, this is it. Now, them punk-ass law firms that you mentioned, that bent the knee too early? See, because Harvard did what it did this week, I think we might just be able now to see a sea change. And finally, our HBCUs can absolutely participate in that sea change, even deep behind the cotton curtain, with the one resource we have that none of them have more of, and that is guts. If we go and look at the model, not of Harvard, not of Yale, but of the HBCU models of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, where in spite of conservative leadership, as conservative then as HBCU leadership is today, the faculties of those institutions did not flinch. Can we recover? Can we recover the courage of a James Farmer Sr. at a place like Wiley College? Can we recover the courage of a Benjamin Mays at Morehouse, or the courage of an Oakwood, the courage of an Eva Beatrice Dykes at Oakwood? If we have our models, we don't need to look at no white schools. And Roland, I think we can win that, but you're right. We're going to have to wake up and take some courage.
See, I need people to understand why we're having this conversation. Yeah, this goes back to my Washington Watch days. There were so many times when we talked about stuff on Washington Watch and News One Now on this show, and mainstream media figured it out 2, 3, 4 weeks, 2, 3, 4 months later. I mean, I blasted Mediaite because they hyped up Megyn Kelly, criticizing Kristi Noem for playing dress up in the Department of Homeland Security. And I said, wow, Mediaite, y'all late. I hit that 2 weeks ago. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, what I'm laying out to y'all is prophetic. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. But I need y'all to understand the money. Go to my iPad, Anthony. The top 10, this is from HBCUmoney.com. The top 10 HBCU endowments total is $2.6 billion. The top 10 PWI endowments is $336 billion. The number of PWIs, predominantly white institutions, above $2 billion endowment is 78. The number of HBCUs above $1 billion is 1. The number of PWIs above $1 billion is 148. I'm just trying to show y'all the numbers. Now, if I go Ivy League, this is 2023. I told you, I just showed y'all. The top 10 HBCUs combined have an endowment of $2.6 billion. One of them is $1 billion. So that means the other 9 represents the other $1.6 billion. That's right. Brown University is the lowest Ivy League, and its endowment is $6.6 billion. So the endowment of Brown, the lowest Ivy League, now go back. Brown 6.6, Columbia 13.6, Cornell 10 billion, Harvard 50 billion, Princeton 34 billion, Yale 40 billion, Dartmouth is 7.9 billion, University of Pennsylvania 21 billion. See, Harvard's actually now 53 billion. This was 2023. Harvard, by having 53 billion, can tell Trump to go to hell.
Yeah.
Because they can say, we will fund that $2.2 billion loss in federal grants for the next 3 years and work to make sure a Republican does not win in 2028.
That's right.
They can weather that storm. If Harvard returns 10% on their investments, that's $5 billion a year. The federal grants are $2.2 billion. I'm telling y'all right now, be prepared for the Trump administration or a conservative governor saying, HBCU, get your ass in line. Don't be threaten presidents and provosts. Don't have too many protests. Don't make too much noise. I'm just trying to warn y'all that if they could go after Harvard and Columbia and the Ivy Leagues and MIT and go after the most prominent law firms in the country and get them to bend their knee, you got Mark Zuckerberg worth billions of dollars trying to bend the knee to keep that Federal Trade Commission settlement as low as possible. You just had today in Washington, D.C., give me a second, let me pull it up, where a federal ruling against Google in an antitrust lawsuit declaring that they actually have a monopoly. Man, y'all need to understand, there's a reason all them billionaires were lined up at the inauguration.
And he's going to humiliate all of them still.
And right. So look, with the law firms, he's already gotten concessions and saying, I want more, I want more, I want more. So I just need our people prepared.
That's right.
That they're going to attack black institutions.
Absolutely.
So if there ever was a time for black institutions to be aligned and for black people to understand the fight we're about to face, if they are undoing a settlement, see, this is why I went off and see, I told y'all, I talk to folk on all kinds of different sides. See, I love these people who claim, man, you're a Democratic shield. No. I'm here for black people.
I just got called that on Blue Sky.
I mean, whatever. They stupid. We fight for black people.
Right.
So whether you're Democrat or Republican, I've said to black people, we still constituents. Trump still should be funding HBCUs the same way Biden and Harris did. We still constituents. So understand, today, I sent an email, I sent a text. First of all, I sent a series of tweets. Then I text him, because Darrell Scott, Pastor Darrell Scott out of Cleveland, he posted a tweet, and his tweet was, go ahead, Maya. I woke up to a call from President Trump this morning. We talked about a lot of stuff, politics, tariffs, sports, had a lot of laughs. One thing stood out. He said, quote, last administration, I was fighting for survival and the country. This time I'm fighting only for the country. That's my dude. Okay. So I responded, okay, Pastor Scott, did you ask Trump why he canceled a DOJ lawsuit against petrochemical companies in Louisiana that are killing black people in an area called Cancer Alley? Hey, Pastor Scott, did you ask Trump why he called a deal in Lowndes County an illegal DEI settlement? 9,800 mostly black people have had raw sewage backed up into their homes and yards due to lack of an infrastructure investment by Alabama. Also, Pastor Scott, did you ask Donald Trump why his HUD canceled investigation in Harris County, Texas, where the Biden-Harris administration said the state refused $1 billion in hurricane relief to a black and brown county? Also, Darrell Scott, did you ask Trump why his DOJ pulled out of a lawsuit alleging black and brown voters were disenfranchised in the 2021 Texas redistricting? Hey, Pastor Scott, did you ask Donald Trump why he won't put pressure on Republican governors in red states to pay HBCU land grants the $13 billion they are owed? Did you ask him why $17 million in grants were canceled at FAMU's pharmacy school? Here is what I know, Pastor Scott. Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Burgess Owens, Wesley Hunt, Sharice Lane, the Cartier folks, Hodge twins, David Harris, Joseph Pinion won't say a damn thing about these issues. Y'all black MAGA tout how great he is, so let's see y'all speak up. Now, Pastor Scott, if you're going to go hard at Charlie Kirk for his racist attacks on MLK and black doctors and pilots and call out the foolishness of Candace Owens, let's see you speak up on the issues I outlined. I'll wait. So 5 hours ago, I see he responded. No, he told me to tell you to call him. Then he later tweeted, I saw, I didn't realize, let me see, did I see the tweet? He said, I saw it earlier. He said, oh, I didn't know I worked for you. Y'all know I'm about to go ahead and respond. So let me just go ahead.
Oh, Lord.
You know what? I'm gonna respond on Twitter in a second. Now let me just go ahead and respond to his ass live. You know, cause see, I just a firm believer, y'all, that sometimes you just got to go ahead. Well, Scott, let me find it. Well, Daryl Scott, I dare you to set up a one-on-one live interview with me and Trump. My studio is 2 blocks from the White House. Pick the day and time. Hold up. One-on-one live interview. We can go 2 hours or longer. And me and my, so y'all know I ain't scared. My Black Star Network team will be there. I'll ask him all of this directly. Let's see here. Since my thing is I'm over characters, let me go ahead and edit, period. Boom. Let's see if he responds. See, y'all, here's the whole deal. This is the whole point I'm talking about. These black MAGA people do not represent black people. Nola, these black MAGA people are not going to fight for black people. These black MAGA people love to go to White House functions, love to run their mouths. They love to come to the black community and go on black radio and tout Trump all he doing for black folk. But when you ask them directly about very specific actions Trump has taken that have a detrimental impact on black people, all of a sudden they get quiet. Now, Scott knows. He texts me he sent me text messages when he was going after Charlie Kirk. He sent me text messages when he was going after Candace Owens, but it's amazing how he responded to this text message. I guess he a little too busy.
You know, I always think about this, you know, even going all the way back to slavery days, you know, you always had those black folks who was going to sell you out to massa. It's still the same folks, the same way we are still dealing with the same sort of militia folks, you know, from the Civil War, the same sort of racists, the same sort of white supremacists. It's the same sort of black folk who absolutely would have sold all the slaves out who were trying to escape. It's the same sort of mindset. You know, if you cozy up to massa, you know, if you think that, you know, he feels like you're on his or her side, then you will get all the benefits of whiteness. That has never worked. It won't work. And I genuinely don't know what they get out of it. You know, the thing for me, which is really sad, the amount of self-hatred you must have inside of yourself to sell your soul, to sell out your community, you know, like that. I wish you well. I wish, you know, thoughts and prayers, peace and blessings. That's all. That's literally all I have for you. That's literally all I got.
Well, how shall I put this, Greg? I agree, but the only point where I will disagree, let me just be real clear, is I believe that if you are going to be in the room and you claim you love black people, then show it. There should be some proof. Now, for some reason, wait, hold on, wait. Let me finish. So I'm gonna use an example. I can't find the interview. I'm going to find the interview, but this is an interview. This was at Dick Gregory's funeral. When I interviewed, come on, guys. Anthony, come on, thank you. Y'all got to keep up now. Come on. I know, I need you to just go to it. This is an interview of me and Bob Brown. A lot of black folks ain't got no clue who Bob Brown is. Bob Brown worked with Dr. King. Bob Brown got a phone. Bob Brown and when Dr. King was hitting companies, the companies would try to cause money black. How can we fix this problem? They would call Bob Brown. They didn't know that Bob Brown was working with Dr. King, was on the board. Dr. King called Bob Brown our secret weapon. Operation Breadbasket. Go listen to his August 1967 speech to SCLC, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community. He literally says it in the speech. Nixon wins in 68. Bob Brown gets a phone call from Nixon. Nixon literally calls Bob Brown and offers him a job. No title, but Bob Brown's portfolio was one of the biggest in the White House. Nixon made it clear, if Bob Brown asked for something, give it to him. Bob Brown wrote in his book there was a meeting, and there was these white generals who were ignoring Bob Brown because Bob Brown felt that how you gonna have the 75th anniversary of something to do with military, wasn't no black 4-star generals. Bob Brown said, no, we're gonna have a black 4-star. I think that was Chappie. The white generals blew Bob Brown off. Bob Brown told the chief of staff, went in and told Nixon called the generals in. When Bob Brown asked for something, you give it to him. Earl Graves was short of money. To launch Black Enterprise. The white conservatives in the Nixon administration would not give Ed Graves a grant. Bob Brown cussed him out and said, give him the money. That's how he's able to launch Black Enterprise. They didn't want to give Earl Graves the money because Earl Graves had worked for Robert F. Kennedy. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to be black in MAGA, be like black conservatives or black Republicans who we've known for generations, who actually love black people and actually pushed and prodded on behalf of black people to get things for black people. They weren't there just to get invites to Mar-a-Lago. Greg, go ahead.
It's true. I mean, but we all know, and Roland, you know this more intimately than most, having spent time with people like Bob Brown, and encourage people to read Bob Brown's memoir that he wrote recently, You Can't Go Wrong Doing Right. Arthur Fletcher, who's called the father of affirmative action. His son, I saw his son a couple of weeks ago when I was at Morehouse in Atlanta, who's working on a memoir bio of his father in David Hamilton Gollin's recent book, A Terrible Thing to Waste, Arthur Fletcher and the Conundrum of the Black Republican. Those were black Republicans. Jack Roosevelt Robinson, who walked away from the party because of Nixon and what he saw as the move white in the wake of the Barry Goldwater messes of the 1960s, mid-60s. But that's not what Darrell Scott is. Darrell Scott is dancing on a string. He has no political philosophy. His political philosophy is what's good for me as an individual. And that's truly unfortunate. That's not what Candace Owens is. They're not conservatives. They're grifters. And I can respect the grift because I think that's what a lot of people have when they don't have a political philosophy. You know, you're striking such a resonant chord tonight, brother, because what we're really talking about is black institutions. And we're talking about fear. The Trump administration is trafficking in fear. And when you traffic in fear like that, you know, what you're relying on is to tap into people's fear that they will be hurt. It reminds me of a song they used to sing during the SNCC movement, the Ballad of Uncle Tom. And the lyrics are like, I'm an Uncle Tom, Lord. That's what the people say. But I ain't no Uncle Tom, Lord. I'm just a little afraid. So help me, Lord, to stand up and be a man. And I'll fight segregation as long as I can. And the idea is, we're talking about fear. There are people who will say, well, we shouldn't talk about fighting, and is it going to be violent, and what are you going to do? I would say to those people, don't be scared. You don't love your master, you're scared of him. You don't love your master, you're scared of her. But as soon as you lose your fear, and this is how you lose your fear, you lose your fear by coming together with other people. The more people we join, the less fear we have. Last night, around 6 p.m., around the time we went on the air tonight, probably a couple of dozen Howard students put up a couple of tents and created what they would call the People's University on campus. And some of the administrators at Howard approached them and asked what they were doing. And then here come the damn Metro Police Department and the Howard Police saying, what are y'all doing? And then they were encouraged to take the tents down. Now, they stayed to about 4 o'clock this morning. We got a letter this morning from Howard University Official Communications saying that Howard University supports the students' right and everybody's right to have academic freedom and debate and protest, but also saying that some people that come from the outside and were prevailing upon these students and had done this. And as far as I can tell from the students that I listened to today when I asked about it, because I was in class last night and didn't even find out about it until this morning, they said it wasn't outside people, that the people they were told out there were Howard students. And so I guess, you know, what I'm trying to say now at this point, I'm reinforcing what you said about historically black colleges and universities earlier, and in the context of Darrell Scott, who has no constituency, who has no community, and is just a little afraid. And this is to everyone watching this who's just a little afraid. You're not no Uncle Tom, you ain't no Aunt Jemima, you're just a little afraid. Understand this, that when you stand together, when you join together, we don't have the money that Harvard has. And by the way, Harvard covers costs for anybody who gets enrolled at Harvard, who comes to Harvard, whose families make $200,000 and less. That's what kind of money they have. And that applies to international students too. So yes, there are international students who come to Harvard and write the check, but if your family makes less than $200,000 a year, you go to Harvard with no incurring of debt. So they are well fortified. Well, you can't say that it's You can't say that at Stillman. You can't say that with our brother Walter Kimbrough, as you were talking with him last week. You can't say that at Talladega. But this is what you can say. The same communities that surrounded the city of Montgomery when Joanne Robinson, a professor of English at Alabama State University and the Women's Political Council of Montgomery, launched and sustained the Montgomery bus boycott, the same communities that poured resources into them, that fed students, that put together the money to be able to sustain the boycott, those communities can step up again, Roland. Those people who send you envelopes of money, the money that folds and the money that jingles, those that cash out, those who make the annual donation or the monthly donation, those who press money in your hands at airports and in railroad stations, those people are the ones that will make sure not only that we endure, but that we overwhelm these folk. Because when you punch a bully back, when you lose your fear and punch them back, that's when you realize that you shouldn't have been afraid at any point. It's not about anger. It's about fear. And we can overcome our fear together.
You know, Nola, in Trump's first run amok in the Oval Office, he only had one black top aide. And see, I need people to understand. Again, when I ain't new to this, I'm true to this. See, I love all the folk, these allergies are kicking my behind. I love all the folk who don't understand how we roll and how black media has rolled. When Reince Priebus ran the Republican National Committee, they had a Black History Month program, and I got invited. It was actually at the Republican, the house they have, where they have their club. Mm-hmm. Now, when I walked in, all the black people, what's up, Roland? All the black people who work there. So we go into the room, all these black Republicans. And I remember there was this one girl, she was a fake black Republican. Her name was Crystal. She used to be on my show sometimes. And Crystal was mad. She got mad. Because when I walked into the room, all these black Republicans were walking up to me, greeting me. And they sat me between Rice Priebus and David Stewart, the billionaire out of St. Louis. And then the next year they had a program at the Howard Theater, and they actually asked me to MC the event with Tara Wall, black conservative. Ooh, was some Negroes really upset.
Oh man.
But the reason that was hilarious, because see, what the fake black conservative didn't realize, all these black folks in there knew me. Generals, business people, political people, and I knew them, because I knew they were real black Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
So when Omarosa rolled into the White House with Trump last time, I literally called, I said, listen, I can't stand his punk ass. I said, if you gonna be there, be some use to black people. I said, he loved golf. I said, why don't you have him put some extra money in the interior budget for the black golf course in D.C. that folk don't, the historic black golf course in Washington, D.C., that people don't realize is actually under the Department of Interior and not the city of Washington, not Washington, D.C. I said, you're gonna do something. I said, be a Bob Brown. I said, get his book. I said, matter of fact, call Bob Brown. So you know what I did? I called Bob Brown. I said, Bob, will you meet? He's like, yeah, I'll meet with her. Never called. Go to my iPad. His other top aide was Jerron Smith. Trump called him a star, all this sort of stuff. And this is what he looked like. And he came on the show, and he came on the show sounding crazy, defending bullshit. And I come and said, Jerron, I said, here's your problem, see? I said, you defended bullshit. I said, don't defend bullshit. I said, Bob Brown was smart enough not to defend bullshit. I said, if you're gonna be there, be of use to black people.
Yes.
That's all. Matter of fact, I ain't got a problem saying it. Darryl Scott, I just text his ass. I said, if you gonna, and I sent him his little tweet. I said, oh, your text stopped working? And I said, if you're gonna rep black folks, have the courage to be a Bob Brown. And if you don't know him, you need all caps to read his book and sit down in all caps, learn from him. He was a real all caps black Republican. I'm waiting for his response. Here's the point I am making. We are still constituents. And if there are gonna be black people who are around Trump, loving Trump, stop doing a jig at Mar-a-Lago and then make demands. I'm real clear. When I sat in the room and Biden was in the room and Harris was in the room, and I sat at the table when Obama was there, and in 2 of the 3 meetings I got invited to Trump's first time, I was asking black stuff. I let them other TV anchors talk about immigration and all the other stuff. I brought up black stuff. And if these black MAGA folk want to be seen as legitimate black people, don't just be happy you got invited, actually rep black folks. And I just gave y'all 4 or 5 examples of stuff they should be asking of Trump that too many of them are scared to do. No, I know you got to go. Go ahead and finish your comment.
You know, two things that I want to say. Being from the Deep South, I'm familiar with Republicans, you know, and then also being in the profession that I am, the whole time we were having this conversation, I'm thinking about Colin Powell, you know, who was a Republican who absolutely stood on business, you know, when he was in rooms about black people. And the distinction between MAGA and traditional conservatives or Republicans, I think that that's so salient and important, and that's what we have to understand. A lot of them, in my personal opinion, they feel rejected by the cool kids. I mean, when you think about the Kanye West of the world who are drawn, and his ex-girlfriend, who are drawn to the MAGAs is because they feel like, oh, they accept me, I'm not being judged, I can get an invite to this White House, I couldn't get an invite to Obama's White House or to Biden-Harris's White House, right? So this is very different. We're not talking about people who were raised with a certain set of values. We are talking about people who feel rejected, and they think they kikiing at the White House thinking they doing something cute when they look absolutely ridiculous. We are talking about 2 different sets of people, two different types of people with their standards and the reasons why they were conservatives and Republicans. This is not that, is what I would submit. And so these types of personalities, the pick-me's, you know, they're not trying to stand up for Black people. They're not interested in a Black agenda. They're not interested in reparations for real. No. They just want to be at a White House. They just want to be included somewhere. They are the pick-me's, which is very different from a lot of traditional conservative Republicans.
Well, I guess I was confused there because when you said the pick-me's sound too much like the pickaninnies. But I was...
Look, pick-me is a real thing. It's not my...
No, I mean, I'm just simply stating it sounded real close. It sounded real close to that other phrase. Nola, I know you have to go. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. There was so many other things. Greg, let me thank you for being on the show as well. It was a whole bunch of other stuff I wanted to get to, but I just simply felt that those two issues were really critical to what's going on. So the other stuff we'll get to tomorrow and we'll deal with. But, folk, this is why Black-owned media matters, why Black-owned media spaces matter. Because you're not getting these conversations in mainstream white media. And you're not going to get these conversations on shows hosted by Black people in mainstream white media. Because those Black people don't control their shows. They make suggestions. They don't make decisions. Somebody asked me and they said, I would love to come on your show to discuss this. Who should I talk to? I said, I'm sorry, I'm confused. What do you mean, who should I talk to? Well, who should I run it by? I said, I'm still confused when you say, who should I run it by? I said, which part of I own it don't you understand? And they looked at me with a befuddled look. They were trying to understand what I was saying. I said, oh, I'm sorry. You've actually never met somebody Black who doesn't have to go ask somebody else for permission. See, that's why I get a kick out of these Negroes who love posting on social media, on Instagram, by saying, see, yeah, we know the white folk rolling get his check from white people. In fact, y'all, this was one of the most hilarious things I experienced yesterday. I literally had this fool on somebody's Instagram page. He actually said, Roland Martin, he ain't never got a check from a Black man. I started laughing because my first check, technically he's correct, it came from a Black woman, was my grandmother, catering business. She owned it. I worked in the business 23 years. Then I thought about the first paid media job I had. Oh, technically he was correct because that was a Black woman too, Sonseria Messiah Giles at the Houston Defender. Then I started laughing when the person said that because I recall when I went to do some writing for the Dallas Weekly, and that was James and Molly Belt who owned it, Black. And then I became managing editor, a writer, then managing editor of the Dallas Weekly. Jim Washington owned that, he was Black. Then I became the managing editor of the Houston Defender, and that was Sonny Messiah Giles again. Then I remember when I became editor of BlackAmericaWeb.com, oh, that was owned by Tom Joyner, Black. And then all of a sudden, Tom Joyner owned Reach Media, so not only did he own the parent company, he owned the website. Then I remember I became, actually before Black America Web, I became news editor of Savoy Magazine when it was owned by Vanguard Media, and Keith Cleescales was the founder CEO, and oh, he was Black. And then later, I remember in 2000, I was working on an election special for Major Broadcasting Cable Network. Oh, that was the Black-owned cable network. That was Willie Gary and Cecil Fielding, Evander Holyfield, and Marlon Jackson, Alvin Brown, and others. And then I remember after that, I was doing some work. Oh, that's right. I actually got the show on TV One, and that's owned by Alfred Liggins, Kathy Hughes, Black-owned company. Then Washington Watch came along. Then News One Now came along. And oh, while that was happening, I then began to do some writing and editing for Essence magazine when it was black owned. Then, I remember I was also doing some writing and editing for Ebony magazine when Lyndon Johnson Rice actually owned it. Then, oh my goodness, and then after that, then of course, additional work at TV One. Oh, and then when I was in Chicago, that's right, I was the managing editor and general manager of the Chicago Defender when it was owned by a group of black billionaires out of Detroit. And then while I was in Chicago, I was at WVON Radio, and I'm sorry, that was owned by Purvis Spann and Melody Spann Cooper, her daughter, and they were all black. And then later, when I left, that's right, when I left TV One and that ended, I actually started Roland Martin Unfiltered, which I own. So it's interesting. So I think this is probably my 13th black experience, and 12 of those were black owned. One was black targeted. So I got checks from all those black people. And for the person who then said, I've never been paid by a black man, considering I own this, that means once a month I get a check from said black man. The next time you try to challenge me, you might want to read the bio first. So, y'all want to support this black-owned media company? Please do so by contributing us via Cash App. Here is the QR code to contribute via Stripe. You can also use that for credit cards as well. And then if you want to do a check or money order, please make the check and money order out to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Start Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Of course, if you want to get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version on Audible. You can also, of course, support the good work we do. Get our gear, our Roland Martin Unfiltered or Black Star Network swag. Get our merchandise, our t-shirts, hoodies, wall art, mugs, and more. You've got those 3 new shirts we have. Hashtag, we tried to tell you, FAFO 2025. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. And also this comment from Anthony Scaramucci. MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. So get one of those t-shirts. QR code is there as well. And we want you to download the app Fan Base. And you can also, of course, if you want to participate in their investment, go to startengine.com, startengine.com/fanbase. And YouTube, folks, why y'all so slow? Y'all should be hitting the like button. We at 1,800. I'm not going to sign out till we get to 2,000. So y'all need to hurry up, hit the damn like button. Y'all been commenting like crazy. More than 4,000 y'all been watching. So we should easily be over 2,000. So hurry the hell up, hit the like, let's hit the like so I can get off of here. And so get to 2,000 likes and then we'll bounce. Don't forget, if you miss a lot of our content, you want to see the breakout segments, go to our YouTube channel. It's all there. You can go to blackstarnetwork.com. The reason I want you to go to YouTube channel first is because if you go to our YouTube channel, that's where we generate revenue from. Because these ad networks, these ad agencies don't want to support black-owned media. And so go to our YouTube channel, and we would certainly appreciate that if you are supporting our work. And again, it's a lot of stuff that you haven't seen. Not everybody sees every single show. I understand that. But we always have great content that we are all about, advising our folks so they can understand all the news and information that's happening every single day. There are live events that we also, hurry up YouTube, y'all got 100 more likes for us to get there. There are a lot of stuff that we cover throughout the day, live news conferences, live events, things along those lines. You can actually access that if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel. We have 1.79 million. Let's hurry up and get to 2,000 likes. And again, if you go to our YouTube channel and click videos, you'll see, this is what you'll see, all of the different breakout videos that we have on the show. You see the video we did on the sheer stupidity of RFK blasting autism, Biden blasting Trump's Social Security cuts, the young brothers who are renting a car while black. Jasmine Crockett torching the MAGA agenda. Of course, Jackie Robinson, Major League Baseball, and then Trump and black farmers, and me calling out black MAGA. So all of those videos are right there on our YouTube channel. And so y'all please check it out. All right, we finally hit 2,000 likes on our YouTube chat for today. That's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And yes, I'm repping my Houston Rockets. We start Sunday, Rockets versus Golden State Warriors in Houston. Yeah, we gonna beat Steph and Draymond and Jimmy Butler. We the number 2 seed. We gonna rock that. So Houston strong. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?